It's a tough draw, the large family car segment. People are increasingly leaving their Fords and Vauxhalls in favour of more desirable models from Audi and BMW, so you'd imagine that a brand such as Kia would really struggle. Still, that hasn't stopped them entering the fray with the new Optima.
Fortunately, Kia's stylists have done a fantastic job because they've created a car which looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. In fact, from certain angles, the Optima bears more than a passing resemblance to certain premium models.
You see this vent here on the wing? It kind of reminds me of that on the BMW M5. And if I was to take this and stick it here, I think it would look too out of place, apart from the fact, of course, it's made out of paper. Anyway, let's crack on, because this Optima has a very big boot. It can swallow much larger suitcases than that, and because the aperture is nice and wide, you can easily put the very largest golf bags in there. This Kia feels nice and spacious here in the back. What's especially good is the amount of knee room you've got. I mean, look at that. There's loads of space between me and the seat in front. There's also loads of space in the footwell as well, because I mean, look at that. I could get away with wearing clown shoes. Now, I'll admit that this centre seat is only really good for kids, so most of the time what you're going to do is just fold down the centre armrest and use those handy cup holders. Here in the front of the Optima, it's really easy to get comfy. It doesn't matter if you're big or small, because, well, there's just so much adjustment in the driver's seat. And I have to say, the actual driving position itself, I mean, it's spot on, as is the amount of equipment you get as standard on this car. Even the entry-level car gets air conditioning, cruise control, USB for your iPhone, there's ESC anti-skid control, and Bluetooth for your mobile phone, which is very easy to set up and
has great sound quality too.
See? This car is actually only available with a 1.7 litre diesel, but don't worry, because the engine is actually very good. It'll return 57 miles per gallon, and while it's not the fastest thing off the mark, once you're up to speed, it's got more than enough performance to suit most people's needs. The clutch, it's nice and light, and this plus brakes, which are very progressive, means you don't shunt along in stop-start traffic. Or is it just me that does that? The Optima also holds its own out on the open road. Now, I'll admit the suspension is a little bit on the firm side, but it's never uncomfortable. And the trade-off is the fact that this car goes around corners very well indeed. It's on any body roll, you've got loads of reassuring grip. That said, if you want the best handling family car, you're probably going to be better off with a Ford Mondeo. And that brings me on to this car's downsides. One of them is the fact that at higher speeds, it can get a little bit noisy in the cabin. Rear visibility isn't great because of the small back window, and the thin and high window ledge means that there's nowhere really to rest your elbow, which is a bit annoying.
The biggest problem with the Optima, however, is that while it looks great on the outside, inside it's rather uninspiring. In fact, the dash design seems to have been modelled on an old Volvo. Storage space isn't great either, as the centre cubby and side door bins are rather small. And then there's the weird noises the car constantly makes, some of which are just plain odd. However, these aren't as annoying as the almost useless fold-down boot hatch, which is bad even by saloon standards.
Finally, there's the price, because the Optima isn't quite as cheap as you'd expect from a Kia. In fact, it's similar money to the European stuff, and don't expect a discount from a dealer like you can get on a Vauxhall Insignia, which incidentally comes with a lifetime warranty. That said, the Kia 7-year one is still very impressive, and that kind of sums up this car. You see, because it's not going to take the large family car market by storm, but it's definitely a viable alternative to the mainstream. And in my opinion, the looks are also good enough to take on some of the premium models too.